Hey everyone, I'm the Canadian lad, and I just got back from watching Fantastic Four First Steps, and finally the curse is broken. We finally have a Fantastic Four movie that actually delivers, not just with fans, but even the critics are on board this time. And you know what the biggest complaint is from the few who didn't love the film? Why wasn't it longer? That right there speaks volumes about how solid the film truly is. Now the mid-credit scene of this film is truly bonkers, and this is where I'll give you a formal spoiler warning. I wish it was a bit longer, but I think I may have figured out what it means even with that brief look of Dr. Doom. And that means I might have figured out the initial plot of Avengers Doomsday itself. And no, I'm not just gonna throw some wild theories out there without any valid proof to back them up. What I pieced together actually connects the dots in some very specific, very exciting ways. Stick with me, hear my full theory, and I think by the end of this video, you'll have a big smile on your face. Because what's coming next could be the most epic thing Marvel has set up in years. This might just be the moment our faith in the MCU finally gets restored. Now for this movie to work, Marvel had to nail the casting, and I guarantee you they did. I'll be honest, I was a bit skeptical myself when they announced Pedro Pascal as Reed and Joseph Quinn as Johnny. But boy oh boy, did they prove me wrong. Pedro poured himself into Reed's intellect and heart, and I dare say he might just be the best Reed yet. And Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm outshined the rest of the team. No question, she's the heart of this movie. Now this may come out as a surprise, but this is the first Marvel film in ages that doesn't rely on goofy comedy every 5 minutes. Every character in this film takes themselves seriously. The stakes feel real, and Earth 828 has that faithful comic book vibe more than Earth 616 ever could. Now, could the movie have used an extra 10 or 15 minutes to let the world breathe a bit more? Absolutely. But does that take away from how solid this movie is? Not at all. One thing I absolutely love about this film is every single member of the Fantastic Four is portrayed as smart. Like really smart. They didn't make Johnny a reckless show-off or turn Ben into the guy who hates himself all the time. This time around, we're told exactly why Johnny went onto the space mission, because he's a brilliant astronaut in his own right, not just someone who tagged along. He was ready to sacrifice himself not once, but twice in the film. In older iterations, it's easy to forget that all four of them are scientists. It's just that Reed Richards is the most intelligent of them all by a long stretch. Each one of them brings something to the table intellectually, and it shows. Now enough about the movie, let's jump straight to the mid-credit, and yes, Dr. Doom has officially arrived in the MCU. And from the little we saw, I think I figured out exactly what he's planning and how it all directly ties into Avengers Doomsday. So let's break it down. The mid-credit scene takes place 4 years after the events of the film. Franklin is now 4 years old, and we're back inside the Baxter Building penthouse. We see Sue and Franklin finish reading The Very Hungry Caterpillar, a classic children's book from 1969 in our world. She heads back into the kitchen to grab another book, and Herbie suggests Franklin's favorite, Charles Darwin's The Origin of the Species. But Sue wants to go for something a little bit more fun today, and as she walks back from the kitchen, she senses something is off. She walks slowly into the living room, activating her force field powers, and sees a man in a green hooded cloak, kneeling in front of Franklin and holding his signature silver mask on his left hand with gloves on. And this is Dr. Doom appearing for the first time in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now Franklin seems to be reaching for Doom's face here, implying Doom just took off the mask, and instead of getting scared by looking at Victor Von Doom's face, Franklin seems to be reaching for it. Now this is something a disfigured Victor Von Doom would never do. So does it mean RDJ's Dr. Doom won't have a disfigured face? Also, notice Doom's body language. His right hand is gently resting on Franklin's arm. Not in a threatening way, but something almost calm. Like he's trying to connect, trying to win him over. And this is where my theory comes up. I don't believe Doom is there to kidnap Franklin. He's not that reckless, and more importantly, he's not that stupid. He knows that even Galactus couldn't get to Franklin, and that was just a few years ago. If Doom tried to force anything, Sue would cause problems, and that would halt Doom's mission. So instead, I strongly believe Dr. Doom is here to ask for help, at least pretending to be in need of help. In fact, one visual change that the Russo brothers made might indicate that we'll have a lot of scenes of Dr. Doom inside the Baxter Building. Back in the main film, the carpet in the Baxter Building was blue, but notice in the post-credit scene it's now orange. Now yeah, maybe Reed and Sue just did a little home renovation during the 4-year time jump, but I think Marvel and the Russo brothers had a very specific reason. See, Doom's aesthetic is always green, the cloak, the armor, everything. And if you put that green against a blue background, the green doesn't exactly stand out. But if you put Doom in a room with an orange background, he will pop in every shot. Visually, he will dominate every frame. And there's actually a scientific reason behind this. Green and orange are complementary colors, not in the sense of matching, but in the way that they sit opposite each other on the color wheel. When placed side by side, complementary colors create maximum contrast, which makes them appear brighter and more intense on screen. It's the same principle filmmakers and comic artists have used for decades. Think Joker's green hair against his purple suit, or Spider-Man's red costume against New York's blue-toned skyline. Now you might ask, why orange specifically? Why not red, yellow, or even purple? Well, here's the thing. Red and green are technically complementary too, but red often signals danger, anger, or aggression. And that could imply Doom is here as an active threat. Yellow, on the other hand, is too close to green. It wouldn't offer that stark contrast. And purple would clash too much with the warm tones of this room, and might even evoke Thanos comparisons. So when Marvel shifts the Baxter Building's primary palette from blue to orange, they're not just repainting the room, they're setting the stage. A stage where Doom doesn't just appear, he dominates every frame. He becomes the visual center of every scene he's in. And that, to me, is one of the clearest signs that Dr. Doom is going to spend a lot of time in this building in Avengers Doomsday. You don't just change your set design to complement a villain's color scheme unless that villain is going to be around for a while. And if Doom is staying, if he's walking freely through the Baxter Building, then he is not here to fight the Fantastic Four, at least not yet anyway.
They changed the color of the carpet.
Oh, yeah.
Of the couches.
Yeah, we've had a little renovation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
little
Doomsday's
bit of
got
renovation.
Doomsday. There's been a little
Oh, you see it in the
renovation.
end
It's
credits.
nicer now, I think.
It is nice to be on it. You know, it's an intimidating world to walk.
The only reason the majority of the audience believes Doom will kidnap Franklin in this scene is because of the ominous, menacing score playing in the background that the Russo brothers use so effectively to misdirect the audience. I think once we see the full version of this scene in Avengers Doomsday, that dark, dramatic music will fade out. And that's when we'll finally see Doom's full face, played by Robert Downey Jr., looking completely shattered, not angry or menacing, just broken. And when Sue sees him like that, I think she offers to help. So yeah, Doom is gonna approach the Fantastic Four not as a villain, but under the pretense of needing help. And what help he will possibly need from the Fantastic Four, you ask? Well, I think Victor will tell them about the incursions. He'll warn them that Earth 828 is on a collision course with another universe. And when they dig into it, Reed and Doom will realize it's Earth 616, the main MCU timeline. They'll join forces to solve the problem together, because don't forget, both Reed and Victor are super genius scientists. Only Victor a bit better, because unlike Reed, Doom has no moral compass holding him back. Now once they figure out Earth 828 is about to collide with Earth 616, that's when they'll hop onto Fantastic Four's space shuttle and travel to Earth 616, bringing us full circle to the post-credit scene of Thunderbolts. Now I know the Excelsior in Fantastic Four only has 3 fins, while the one in Thunderbolts has 4. But come on, does it really matter in the grand scheme of things? If Reed is traveling beyond his own universe this time, what's stopping him from making a few upgrades? Adding another fin doesn't exactly break the logic. Now, if I had to place these scenes on a timeline, Fantastic Four's mid-credit scene will take place at the beginning of Avengers Doomsday, while the post-credit scene of Thunderbolts is from the second half of Doomsday. Now, the question is, why would Dr. Doom pretend to be an ally to the Fantastic Four? Well, here's my answer. Robert Downey Jr.'s Victor Von Doom is from this very universe, aka Earth 828. So he has been watching everything that's happened, from the Baxter mission to the rise of the Fantastic Four, all the way to the moment Galactus showed up and offered to spare Earth in exchange for one child. That's the moment Victor knew that kid wasn't just special, he might just be the key to everything Victor's ever wanted. So Victor figures if Franklin's power could even make Galactus back down, then maybe that power can be used to build something even bigger. Something like Battleworld. But here's the thing, he knows better than to try anything forceful. He saw what happened when Galactus tried to take Franklin by force. He knows the Fantastic Four will protect Franklin at all costs. So instead of coming in guns blazing, Doom has to play the long game. He has to gain their trust. He needs to appear like an ally, a scientist, a voice of reason. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if Avengers Doomsday reveals that Reed and Sue already knew Victor from before. They knew there's an uprising going on in Latveria, and that's why there were no Latverian representatives at the Future Foundation Assembly. Maybe Reed and Doom have clashed over ideology and leadership before. Now the next question is, why would Dr. Doom need Franklin? Well, my theory is he saw Franklin do the impossible by resurrecting his mother. He saw Franklin reach through the veil between life and death and bring someone back. So what if Doom has to resurrect someone too? Someone who, if brought back to life, would make Victor Von Doom truly unstoppable. This also means Victor will reveal his true intentions somewhere in the middle of Doomsday or in the climax. He'll reveal his true intentions. He'll no longer need to pretend. And instead of kidnapping Franklin outright, he'll manipulate him, twist his mind, bend his emotions, and turn him against his own parents. Now, we already know Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars are going to be heavily inspired by Jonathan Hickman's 2015 Secret Wars comic. In that story, the multiverse collapses, and Doom creates Battleworld, an artificial patchwork planet made from the remnants of dying realities. He rules over it as God Emperor Doom. Now, in the comics, Doom's power comes from Molecule Man, another longtime Fantastic Four villain who serves as the key to holding Battleworld together. But in the MCU, we haven't seen Molecule Man at all. So Doom could use Franklin as that power source, because Franklin Richards can literally reshape reality and create entire worlds from nothing. To Dr. Doom, Franklin isn't just a gifted child, he's a source of power, a literal god-making engine. And with the multiverse falling apart thanks to the incursions we saw teased in the Multiverse of Madness and the Marvels, Doom sees an opportunity, not just to survive, but to reign over what remains. And if you need proof that Marvel's heading this way, just look at the leaked concept art from Avengers Secret Wars. Doom is no longer wearing his classic green cloak. He's in full white, sitting on a throne inside what's very likely Battleworld, and standing beside him are probably Sue Storm and Franklin Richards. Now here's how I think it all could play out. At the start of Avengers Doomsday, Doom earns the Fantastic Four's trust. He warns them about the incursions. He helps them travel to Earth 616. But once they're there, he turns. He reveals his real plan. He battles the Avengers. He fights the Fantastic Four. And in that chaos, he wins. He builds Battleworld. And when he does, he wipes everyone's memories. He takes Sue as his bride and adopts Franklin as his son. Now in the concept art, we can also see Reed Richards held up in chains, forced to watch as his wife and child stand beside Doom. They have no idea who Reed is, no idea what they've lost. But we, the audience, do know. We know exactly who they are and what they used to be. And that's how Doomsday and Secret Wars won't just be a multiversal story anymore, it'll be personal. And for those of you wondering if it's really Robert Downey Jr. under that cloak, well, director Matt Shakman confirmed in an interview with Phase Zero that it is indeed RDJ and not a stand-in.
Did I do the end credits?
Because I know Thunderbolts, the Russos did the credit scene.
The Russos did the tag, yeah.
So was that Downey in the suit? Or I guess you weren't there, maybe?
Yes, yes.
Oh.
Now, at the beginning of the video, I mentioned whether RDJ's Doom will have a disfigured face or not. As I said, Victor, who is so ashamed of his scarred face, would never, and I mean never, take his mask off in front of anyone. In the comics, Victor once invented a machine to communicate with his deceased mother from beyond the grave, but the machine backfired and caused a scratch on his chin. But his vanity and ego made him think he was completely disfigured. He then traveled the world and eventually came upon a small village of monks who assisted him in creating a suit of armor. But out of haste, he put on the mask when it was still hot and burned his face forever. So if anything, Dr. Doom has no weakness except Dr. Doom's own ego. But the fact that this Doom reveals his face kinda tells me that the whole reason he made that mask, that backstory might be missing in this Doom's case. And according to Anthony Russo, the movie's plot has something to do with Tony and Victor looking the same. We might be looking at the infamous What If Iron Man Demon in an Armor comic situation, where Dr. Doom and Iron Man essentially switch bodies. Now if you notice, none of my theories have anything to do with the X-Men yet, and we do know they're gonna play a big role in Doomsday. So I've only managed to scratch the surface here. Everything I've laid out probably just covers the first half, maybe up to the second act, but I still can't quite figure out how the third act will look like. But I've got a feeling Spider-Man Brand New Day will drop a post-credit scene that gives us a few more puzzle pieces. And I think Doctor Strange will also play a pivotal role in both films. The Russo brothers love that character. And let's not forget, in the comics, Strange does end up as Doom's right-hand man. So apart from the X-Men, there's also him. But hey, let me know what you think. Do you buy my theory about Doom pretending to be a friend just to gain the Fantastic Four's trust? Or do you see it playing out differently? Or comment below your own theories and we can have a discussion. Now lads, if you like this video, then please give me a thumbs up, grab the subscribe button and turn notifications on. Follow me on my socials to get updates about my videos. I'm Mark Normand and I'll see you lads in the next one.